Are millennials, Gens, never going to experience a decade of prosperity ever in their youth? It just seems like the whole 21st century has been utter trash. The 2000s came in with the 9/11 attacks, the dot-com burst and the GFC, which expanded throughout the whole 2010s with its aftermaths, and people never really recovered. War on terror escalated and Europe was getting invaded and at the same time going through a very difficult economic pain, and then 2016 comes up. Brexit happens. Politics become very divisive, and then COVID is the final nail in the coffin. For a while it seemed like the economy was going to go well around 20,172,019, and then things bounce back to again. Past generations have had it fair enough where they at least got to experience a time of peace and economic prosperity after tough times, but it seems like in the 21st century, every decade gets worse and worse as it passes on. Millennials' youth is over in less than a decade. So definitely not for us. Gens possibly, but still unlikely. I believe the wealth transfer is the only way. I am 44. And getting nothing. Basically, Gen Z and millennials will inherit their parents' wealth when they pass away. I suspect this is where the divide will widen between middle and upper class, and further decimate the middle class. Yeah, I doubt we will. Not when the rich have decided to tank the value of everything every 10 years so they can buy up more resources, which creates a false scarcity. That drives up the value. And the rich get richer. Wash, rinse, repeat. As long as there is always a crisis, it keeps everyone in survival mode. No time to thrive. Prosperity? In this economy? The US got high on its own supply and rode on the coattails of the economic domination of WW2. Straight into the rise of globalism. Now we get to all experience what it is like to not mature your social safety net and actually balance business interests against your general population. On average, things aren't horrible if you look with a longer lens. But the US is relatively falling behind, and flaccid political gridlock and a lack of governance. Reform means that I wouldn't be looking for powerful, positive change for another decade or two. Gen Z might have a chance, but only if we collectively decide to do something about the people hoarding all the money and land. Strap in, buddy. It's all downhill from here. Nope. A fair amount of millennials are in their 40s now. They've experienced no prosperous boom years as adults are now looking middle-age in the face. I hope Gen Z gets a shot. Generational politics is always a distraction. Stick to class politics. Poor people have always been stepped on by the rich, no matter what generation they have been a part of. The solution is a revival of the labor movement. A strong union movement cures a lot of the ills you are talking about. The economy is rigged to baby boomers' advantage. Not only that, but ecologically we're going to enjoy the find-out century after a century of fucking around. Millennials will never experience a decade of prosperity in our youth. Since we don't have a decade left, we will likely never experience a decade of prosperity in our entire lives unless we take it by force. The 90s were boom years. Older millennials like me were alive during that time. It was nice, fam. It's like a roller coaster, except the fun never comes. If we want to see that, I do for my kiddos, we're going to have to yeet the rich. Once the boomers are fully retired, the West will likely have chronic labor shortages. That is probably when things will start to get better. Workers will have the advantage in the power dynamic. Gen X will only have a brief window to enjoy it, but it will probably be pretty good for millennials and Gens. The decade of prosperity was 20,102,020. Not for everyone though. Only for people who were lucky enough to get a job during the Great Recession recovery and invest during that time. After what comes next, it will certainly seem like millennials and Gen Z lived through an innocent age of wealth and abundance. 20,102,020 is likely the most prosperous decade we'll ever see. Just most millennials were too young to take advantage of it. Like you list all those inconsequential things and then probably say the 50s was the ideal decade, ignoring the whole generation that got wiped out in World War II. The racism, the sexism, the Cold War, etc. Every decade sucks, haha. As a borderline Gen X millennial, the most prosperous decade that has occurred in my lifetime was the 1990s. It really felt like you could do more with less then. It started going downhill in the 2000s and the downhill slide has only accelerated since then. Two big factors that always seem to be present in the decline: Reagan and his followers, and Citizens United. Almost everything going wrong now can be traced back to either or both of those. There's more, of course, but those were the biggies. Emo. Millennials. Absolutely not, no longer in their youth. Gen Z. Probs not enough time to turn things around. Alpha? Who knows?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.